Hello, welcome to the Sideboard here at the StarCityGames.com Open, part of the SCG Tour here in Cincinnati. I'm Nick Miller alongside Jacob Baugh. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good.
Now, Modern has been a tizzy about these Eldrazi decks.
Yeah.
We've seen the black-white, but you've been working on this mono-black version for quite a while, and you and Jack Fogel are kind of playing this this deck, and you've been working on it for quite a while.
Yeah.
Did you always have this in mind when did you kind of come about this deck, and then how did you make it your own?
I heard some of my friends talking about it, and then I just looked up the list. It looked kind of weird, so I played some games with a moto, played a few leagues. I 3-2'd a few leagues, started tuning it up, and then I started winning more, so it kind of just stood better. That I learned that most consistent cards were having these 3 cards in play. Right. It would just win you games. And the original list only played 3 Eyes and 2 Urborgs.
So you've been working on the deck for how long?
About 3 weeks.
Okay. And so the key component, as you mentioned, we see Eye of Ugin, along with Eldrazi Temple and Urborg, which is kind of lets you make a ton of mana and lets you play Eldrazi's way cheaper. Now we'll go over the Eldrazi's because these are the sweet part, why the deck's called what it's called. But you have a bunch of inclusions thanks to Battle for Zendikar that's giving you just all these tools. Wasteland Strangler, Oblivion Sower, Light Herder, and of course Ulamog. Ulamog was seen play in Tron and some other decks.
Yeah, he does
this
great
deck
things.
really brings these other 3 to the forefront. Talk about your creature base here.
All right, so basically you get cheap interaction with this guy. He costs pretty much just 1 black almost all the time, and you always have pretty much a card in the graveyard with just all these threats to keep stuff in the graveyard to fuel for him. This guy is just like a toolbox thing that can't really be countered. If they remand it, you just get 3 1/1s, and they just kind of lose to those, and then you just cast it again, get 3 more 1/1s. This deck's very redundant to counter spells. Counter spells are terrible against it, just because all the things are cast triggers, and they just crush you, and the early game doesn't matter for being countered. So it's pretty great in that end. And then Sower is just a monster. It just lets you literally go from, you K these played on earliest turn 3, and then you get a bunch more mana, and you cast Ulamog on 4 or 5 pretty consistently if you have a Sower. So it's pretty great in that. And it's just a giant body that just doesn't die to the removal in the format.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so you got all these processors, and the main question is, how do you turn them all on?
Yeah.
Well, that's 4 main deck Relic of Progenitus, 3 extra copies of, hold on, Scrabbling Claws. This is a card I had to take a look at a couple of times, but sort of a lesser version of Relic, but allows you to have all these 1 mana cards to start off and put cards in exile and let you play your threats.
Yeah, another one. The other list I originally started from played 8 of these effects main. They played 2 Spell Bombs and 2 Scrambling Claws, and no Baugh. So from playing, I just never wanted to use my removal constantly to remove everything at once. I just wanted a constant threat of putting the things I put back in the graveyard, back there. I don't want a one-time use. So I thought this card was way better in that edge, and it still cycles like all the other ones. And this is just to get with map, so you have more redundancy.
Right,
so,
you have, along with your relics and that type of effect, you have Expedition Map, which we've seen of custom, of course, in Tron. But in this deck, you're kind of building your own Tron, as you say. So it's good for that. But you also have the toolbox, Baugh, which allows you to turn on your Eldrazi's even more if you need to do that. And of course, Mind Stone, just some ramp and some card draw.
Yeah, it's really most important. The original list played 4 as well. I've shaved them down. I really like the effect for the sideboard games where I want to play my 4 drops on turn 3, like these guys. Want to play them turn early, which really helps in the twin matchup because you really don't want to cast your 4 drop on turn 4. They kill you on turn 4. So if you just need the ramp sometimes, so it's really nice, and it cycles, so never really bad draw in late game. So.
Now we've seen the black-white version, so they have cards, removal like Path to Exile. Some of them use things like Lingering Souls or maybe even a Rest in Peace here and there. But you're mono black, so your removal, Slaughter Pact, Go for the Throat, and Dismember. And then of course you have 4 Inquisition. Can be semi-removal in the matchup that you're looking for.
Yeah, it's pretty much. The Affinity matchup's pretty bad, but that's the burn matchup you can definitely win in sideboard, but Affinity is kind of rough for the removal, just because obviously taking damage to kill their guys is very good in the grindy matchups, but you really need to have to play all these removal to beat Twin consistently. So again, with the original list, did not play main deck removal at all. So he was just straight in on the combo, all in Mind Stones and maps, and I just didn't want to be dead to people doing their things. That doesn't seem right.
So you've kind of shifted the deck more to beat a meta. What where's this in the format? Like, where's it positioned? What does it crush? And kind of like, what do you not want to play against?
I mean, it obviously crushes graveyard decks, not very close. Like Jund's a very good matchup. Like Tarmogoyf's blank, Scavenging Ooze doesn't do anything. Pretty much, their Inquisitions are pretty bad against you. They don't really take anything that's relevant, and you have a bunch of removal for their Covenants, so they can't grind you out, and their cards are just not very good against you. Like bolts are terrible. They just hit my face. That's about all they do. So
now, one thing is, I'm kind of looking through your deck, and I'm looking through your sideboard. I'm not seeing any real good ways to deal with Blood Moon. How do you?
The deck. I played against Blood Moon multiple times, and I just felt like it doesn't actually matter too much. You're a 24 land deck with 2 ramp spells and 3 maps, so you can actually just cast your spells normally and cut off your fast mana. And most of the time, the decks that play Blood Moon also affect themselves slightly, so they're always slower on their clocks. Like Twin, the Blood Moon you, it literally adds like 2 or 3 turns to their clock just because they can't cast their spells on time. And then you can just play right through it because it doesn't matter. You're 7 basic lands in the deck. It doesn't really shut you off your colors because you're almost mono-colorless.
Right.
And that's where these come into. They can play it off through Blood Moon. That's the biggest reason to draw to those.
So you don't even care if people are bringing Blood Moon to the table.
Yeah, they Blood Moon me. Yeah, I'm just going to cast my spells anyways. Like, I'm still going to do everything. Yeah.
So it's a ramp deck that Blood Moon doesn't super shut down. All right, looks pretty sweet. Let's move on to the sideboard. You mentioned these cards right here, Cranial Extraction, Memoricide, as ways to deal with Twin specifically.
These are actually more for the mirror match than anything. I actually wanted some hate. You just take Sower out of their deck because it's the best card, not close. And the mirror, I think almost in the deck, it's probably the best card. It just fuels everything. So
you got a lot of burn hate here.
I do.
4 Sun Droplet, and you said 3 Duress is also part of your package.
Yeah, I also board in the Ratchet Bombs. It's just I board in all those cards and these against burn. It's just burn is not very good.
Drowned in Sorrow from Standards past.
It's very good. I mean, obviously the card filtration helps compared to the other card versions you could play. I mean, it's just to kill the Goblin Guides and Swift Spears and those kind of things. And it's really good into Affinity, shut off their really aggressive draws, which you can't really beat.
Right.
But you can beat their long, like, try to burn you out with Cranial Platings and stuff like that. But you can't really beat the all-in 50 guys kill you plan. But because these things do a lot of good work blocking in the matchup. So
format doesn't have a lot of great ways to deal with a bunch of 1/1s. You know that Blight Herder makes. You know, once you get up to Oblivion Sower and Ulamog, you're in pretty good shape from there. All right, 2 more cards in the sideboard. Knight of Soul's Betrayal. Obviously good against things like Infact and the little decks, but also is a kind of another safety valve against Twin.
It just shuts their combo off completely. I mean, the Pestermites just die, and the other guy just comes in 0-3 and sits in play and doesn't do anything. So they can make infinite 0-3s. They can go for the goal, I guess. But I don't think it really matters too much. They can block my guys, but I mean, the matchup's very good against Twin.
You've got the Eldrazi themed deck. Have you seen any of the new spoilers for Oath of the Gatewatch, and have you started thinking ahead?
Yeah, we definitely think about branching into different colors for sure after that set. I didn't like the appeal of white, like that people wrote a few articles on it I read up on. But it's just Lingering Souls. I mean, sure, it helps your burn matchup playing the life gain in your board and stuff like that. But Sundrop's been enough to beat burn. The only thing I would want was maybe the red splash, because Affinity is very, very bad.
Right.
So getting the shatter effects would be great, but I don't know. I didn't want to pull the trigger. I didn't test with it, so I didn't want to.
What's the best card coming out that you've seen spoiled so far that's going to help the deck?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think will probably play Kozilek for sure. It's very easy to cast, obviously, with mana base. Probably a 1-of over one of these Ulamogs, maybe move one to the board. But that card is stupid. Just the grindy games, you just draw your whole deck back. And when Ulamog's not enough, so it's like get 2 permanents super late. Just getting 7 cards is ridiculous. So, and a few of the lands actually interest me a lot. The draw card lands that tap 3 and draw card when you have no hands. That seems great. I don't know about any of the other creatures too much. Maybe the 7 mana green guy who exiles a enchantment artifact or land. That guy seems pretty interesting, but so far, I mean, there's a lot more to come, so looking forward to it.
Well, the deck looks great. I know you and Jack are both off to a 2-0 start, so you're doing pretty good with it. Thanks for joining me here in the sideboard. Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in Cincinnati.